Welcome to Sleepy Time Owl. Please make yourself comfortable, close your eyes, and breathe in deeply while we embark on this story time. Allow your eyes to close and fall into this story. For tonight's story, we will be reading Frida and the Whispering Forest. Chapter 1. The Morning the Wind Changed. In the heart of the Whispering Forest, where the moss grew thick and sunlight dapples gently through the canopy, there lived a young dog named Frida. Frida was no ordinary pup. Her fur was soft, snowy white, marked with splashes of coal black, like ink spilled on fresh parchment. Perched snugly on her head was a little red beanie, slightly tilted to the side. A gift from her mother. She also wore a long forest green coat with deep pockets that jingled with tiny treasures. A pine cone, a button, a shiny pebble shaped like a heart. Frida and her mother lived in a hollowed out oak, ancient and wide, with bark so thick it hummed in the rain. The two of them shared quiet mornings by the fire, tea steeped in acorn cups, and songs sung with the soft strum of her mother's guitar, whose strings were made of river reeds. But this morning, something felt different. Frida awoke to the sound of the wind, not the usual kind that whispered sweet nothings through the trees, but a strange, hurried rustle. She stretched, yawned, and patted down her red beanie as it slipped over one eye. The fire had burned low, and the kettle was cold. "Mom," Frida called softly, blinking sleep from her eyes. No answer. She checked the usual spots: the kitchen nook, the reading chair, the garden out back where her mother sometimes tended the lavender, but there was no sign of her. Instead, she found something else. On the table was a small, folded note, the corners weighed down with tiny stones. The handwriting was her mother's, loopy and kind. "Frida, my love, if you are reading this, then I've had to leave before I could say goodbye. Something is calling me deep within the forest. Don't follow. It's not safe. Not yet. I'll find a way back to you, I promise. Stay brave, stay kind, and listen to the trees. Love always, Mama." Frida stared at the letter until the words blurred. The trees outside swayed restless. The kettle still hadn't whistled, and her mother, her brave, clever, storytelling mother, was gone. Frida folded the note gently and tucked it into her coat pocket, where the pine cone and heart-shaped stone now suddenly felt heavier. She looked out into the forest, tall, tangled, mysterious. It felt much larger than it had yesterday, and yet something deep inside her stirred. A whisper, perhaps, or just a feeling that this was not the end of something. It was the beginning of a journey, of a story only she could tell. She tightened the red beanie on her hand, buttoned her coat all the way up, and stepped into the woods. Chapter 2. The Map Beneath the Moss. Frida walked with soft, careful paws. The forest floor was thick with ferns and fallen leaves. Every sound felt louder now, A snapping twig, the flap of a crow's wing, the hush of the breeze. She walked until the light began to change. It wasn't nightfall yet, but the sun had dipped enough to cast long shadows between the trees. Just as she was about to rest, she stumbled upon an old stone stump covered in velvet green moss. She sat to catch her breath. Then, as she brushed a paw across the moss, something curious happened. A patch of the moss lifted away, revealing lines etched into the stone beneath. It was a map. Not just any map. This one had her home marked with a small acorn, and just beyond it, a dotted path that twisted through the woods. Frida's ears perked. At the end of the path was a shape she recognized from bedtime stories. The hollow tree of echoes. A place where ancient voices spoke through the bark and gave guidance to those in need. She smiled softly. Then that's where I'll go first, she said aloud. If anyone knows where Mama is, it's the trees. Tucking the map into her coat, she continued onward, the light now glowing golden through the branches. The forest had begun to hum, if she knew she was coming. Chapter 3. The Fox with the Lantern. As twilight blanketed the sky, a warm flicker of light appeared up ahead. Frida followed it, weaving through ferns until she saw the source. A small fox holding a lantern in its teeth. The fox wore tiny spectacles and a scarf knitted from spider silk. When it saw Frida, it set the lantern down and bowed politely. Evening, traveler. The forest doesn't often welcome newcomers this deep. I'm Frida, she said. I'm looking for my mother. She left this morning, and I think she's in trouble. The fox tilted its head. Then the forest has chosen to help you. My name is Thistle. I light the way for those who wander. Frida felt warmth in her chest. I found the map, she said, showing it. Thistle nodded. The tree of echoes, a wise place to begin. The fox lifted the lantern again. Come, I will take you as far as the stone bridge. Together they walked under the silver light of the moon, the lantern glowing like a firefly between them. And for the first time since that morning, Frida didn't feel quite so alone. Chapter 4. The Stone Bridge and the Owl. The stone bridge was ancient, made of weathered gray rocks wrapped in ivy. Thistle stopped at the foot of it. I go no farther, Frida, but she will help you now. From a high branch above, an owl swooped down, feathers soft as mist. She landed gently before them. Welcome, little seeker, the owl said. I am Osaka, keeper of echoes. Frida bowed her head. You wish to speak to the tree? Osaka asked. Frida nodded. I have to find my mom. Osaka regarded her kindly. Come then, we must cross together. As they walked across the bridge, the wind picked up. Whispers rose from the stones. She walks with hope. She seeks the heart. She brings the light. Frida held Osaka's wing in hers, and the forest opened ahead. Chapter 5. The Hollow Trees of Echoes. The hollow tree stood taller than any Frida had ever seen. Its bark shimmered slightly in the moonlight, and a low hum emanated from within. Osaka led her to the trunk. "Place your paw on the bark," she whispered. Frida did. The tree shivered. A voice, her mother's voice, faint and distant, filled her ears. "Frida, I am near the crystal pools. Don't be afraid. Follow the silver ferns. Trust the whispers." Then silence. Tears welled in Frida's eyes. Osaka wrapped a wing around her. "She is alive," the owl said, "and you are on the right path." Frida nodded, determination returning. "Then I will keep going." Chapter 6. The Badger in the Burrow. Following the silver ferns led Frida deeper into shadowy glades until she came upon a burrow. Smoke puffed gently from a crooked chimney. "Hello," Frida called. A gruff voice answered. "Come in, if you don't mind muddy paws." Inside was a burly badger with a flour-dusted apron. "Name's Barley," he grunted. "You look hungry." Frida smiled. "I am, but I am also looking for the crystal pools." Barley nodded. "Dangerous path, but noble. You'll need food and a gift." He handed her a loaf of herb bread and a small bell carved from birch. "The pools like music," he said. Frida tucked both into her coat. "Thank you," she whispered. Barley winked. "Give your mama my regards." Chapter 7. The River of Glass. The river shimmered like glass under starlight, flowing slow and clear. Frida followed its curve, guided by fireflies. At one bend, a stone blocked her way. On it, carved words. "Only the kind may pass unharmed." She rang the birch bell. The tone was soft, true. The stone faded away. On the other side, the air grew sweet. The ferns silvered. She was close. Chapter 8. The Crystal Pools. Frida arrived as dawn began to blush the sky. The pool sparked with light and sang a soft, watery song. Across the largest one, her mother sat, eyes closed, as if in a trance. Frida called, but no voice came. Then she remembered. Music. She rang the bell. The note rippled through the air. Her mother's eyes fluttered open. "Frida." They ran into each other's arms. The water shimmered but did not wet them. The force had brought them together. They returned the way Frida had come, but everything was brighter. The trees whispered welcomes. Thistle, Osaka, and Barley met them with joy. Frida told them everything. Her mother smiled. "You were braver than I ever imagined." Frida pressed her nose onto her mother's fur. "I had help." Chapter 10. The Whispering Tree. Back home, the kettle whistled again. Frida and her mother sat beneath the great oak, a fire crackling beside them. The note still sat on the table, but now beside it a new one. Thank you, Frida. The forest remembers you. Frida smiled. Her red beanie was crooked again. She let it be, and the forest, ever wise, whispered her name. The end.